Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday. Hope you all are doing really well. Hope you've had a great week and are looking forward to the weekend. Could today be the last day in the Everton merry-go-round of managerial shitness? Are we about to see a manager employed by Everton just before the first international break? Obviously, not the first international break this season, the international break, and the first day of the weekend. Let's hope so. A couple of reports coming out from Sky Sports and other media sources today is to state that Everton are supposedly having a board meeting tonight, and a decision on who the new manager will be will come from that board meeting. Whether or not it'll be announced tonight is obviously a completely different question. I'm sure we will we'll wait and see the outcome of that. However, we seem to be getting closer and closer to a new manager being in charge. We spoke yesterday about the reports that stated that Duncan, Ferguson, Vitor Pereira and Frank Lampard are the three names in contention and the three managers or candidates that will be interviewed once again today for the job. As I said, we haven't had an awful lot of information today, to be fair. We haven't had an awful lot of information, but Sky Sports reported around about half an hour ago saying Everton will hold a board meeting in London tonight and a decision could be made tonight regarding the manager's position. We saw earlier on in the day there was footage of Everton chairman Bill Kenwright and Graham Sharp turning up outside of Bill Kenwright's office in London today. So we do know that obviously Bill Kenwright, Graham Sharp, obviously Farhad Mashiri was flying into the UK today as well, all in London. Whether or not there's anybody else there, Alisher Usmanov, Kia Jarabshian, I don't know, but we do know that Bill Kenwright and Graham Sharp are in London, as well as all of the managerial candidates. Obviously, Vitor Pereira has been in London for a few days now. Frank Lampard is living in London, and Duncan Ferguson was spotted on the train this morning on the way to London. Vinny O'Connor reported earlier on this afternoon that Frank Lampard would like the opportunity to manage Everton and get back into work and take up his next managerial role. Interviews have progressed well with Lampard. Further interviews are taking place in London today, and that's pretty much all we've had over the last 24 hours or so regarding the managerial role. We had a report from Sky Sports earlier today saying Tim Cahill has been spotted arriving at Bill Kenwright's offices in London. I highly doubt that is anything to do with the managerial role in terms of Tim Cahill being a candidate. It's more likely Tim Cahill having some form of other involvement at the club. And Wayne Rooney has actually spoken on the Everton managerial role as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the live stream. But as I said, not an awful lot that has come out of today, considering this is the D-Day for Everton candidates. Alex Crook did report earlier on this morning, actually, that, bear with me 2 seconds, that Frank Lampard is to meet Farhad Mashiri in London today. Every chance he could be the new Everton manager, but you can never quite be certain with Mashiri. And then an interesting report was put out there by David Ornstein, and he said they're going to mention targets being looked at to see whether the candidates are keen to bring them into the club and how they might work in the team. So if an appointment is made, they can very quickly do some work before the deadline. Now that sounds like, you know, a sensible plan, but it also sounds to me like one of the questions in the inevitable board meeting to decide who is going to be the new manager, and in those, not in the board meeting, in those interviews with the candidates, is basically going to be, who do you want to sign? And if the players spoken about by Frank Lampard or Duncan Ferguson don't really meet Kia Jarabshian's needs to fill his pockets with more money, or Farhad Mashiri's needs to bring in a massive name, then are they really going to be considered? And the reason I don't mention Vitor Pereira there is because we know Vitor Pereira has got some form of relationship with Farhad Mashiri, as well as obviously Bill Kenwright, and Vitor Pereira has been linked, rightly or wrongly, with Kia Jarabshian before. Now, I said this yesterday on Twitter, and I said it on the channel, I think. My gut feeling is that it'll be Vitor Pereira. I'm not basing that off anything I know that nobody else knows, or anything I've read that nobody else has read. I just feel like we've seen a lot of reports over the last 24, 48 hours or so, some of them stating that Vitor Pereira was imminently to be announced by Farhad Mashiri as the next Everton manager, but Farhad Mashiri, performed a U-turn because of the fan protest. Well, he hasn't performed a U-turn, has he? Because, Vitor Pereira is very much still a candidate and has obviously been interviewed a number of times, as he felt like saying on Sky Sports a couple of days ago, and will be interviewed today as well. So, there hasn't been a U-turn performed. What a U-turn would have been as Farhad Mashiri saying, well, I'm not going to even entertain Vitor Pereira now because I know, there's various different components that are telling me to not do that. So, if Farhad Mashiri was ready to imminently appoint Vitor Pereira. And again, that might just be paper talk, it might just be talking to media, but if that is the case, if that's the truth, and we'll assume it's the truth because that's what was put out there by quite a reliable journalist, then the decision has already been made by Farhad Moshiri, hasn't it? Because that was the manager that he chose to go for, and that was after talks with Frank Lampard, I believe. And yes, there'll have been more talks since then, and maybe Farhad Moshiri's mind will have been changed. That's also very possible as well, but I just think that Farhad Moshiri will get what Farhad Moshiri wants. You know, the Sky interview with Vitor Pereira the other day seemed very, very staged. It seemed very much like somebody at Everton or somebody in and around this deal had effectively told Vitor Pereira to go out on Sky, say a couple of things that might get Evertonians thinking, you know what, he knows the club here, or he's, you know, he wants to work hard, or he wants to, you know, he wants to make us a success again. And that never worked. And now Vitor Pereira is one of the 3 names being interviewed today ahead of a final decision being made. Now, is Farhad Moshiri just bringing Frank Lampard into the equation and Duncan Ferguson into the equation to make it look like that there's other names on the list? And then if he does appoint Vitor Pereira, is he going to say, well, you know, I wasn't impressed by the other interviewers, or this man's the right man for the job? And if he does that, I'd question the integrity of that, because, as I said, literally 3 or 4 days ago, there was reports saying Pereira's the leading candidate. It's Pereira. The decision is being made, and if it wasn't for fan protests and for the outcry from fans after the interview on Sky, I think Vitor Pereira would be the new Everton manager by now. So it is going to be really, really, really interesting. Frank Lampard, I'm sure, will have gone into that interview today wanting to impress, as will have Duncan Ferguson. We saw the pictures of him on the train. He looked absolutely fantastic in his suit going up there, and he'll have been on the train thinking, right, I've got to give absolutely everything here, because Dunk will probably feel like he's the name that has got the least support on the board, really, and maybe he's just being, given an interview so the club can say, oh yeah, we interviewed Duncan and it didn't go well, or whatever. So Duncan will have gone up thinking, I've got to absolutely blow them away, yeah. But it's all well and good Duncan blowing them away. It's all well and good Frank Lampard having another fantastic interview and really positive talks with Moshiri. But ultimately, as if his mind has been made and his decision has been made, how likely is that to change? I don't think it's likely to change whatsoever. We'll wait and see. Obviously, I'm sure we'll find out an awful lot more tonight. Certainly by tomorrow morning. Whether it's announced tonight is a different question. I'm sure, again, if it's to be announced, it will be in some form of the club just putting out a graphic saying, so-and-so has become our new manager. I highly doubt there'll be an interview or pictures or any of that sort of stuff, because the decision still hasn't been made and we're at 5:15. So again, they might wait till tomorrow. They might make the decision and then say we've made the decision and wait till Monday when they can get the manager in and this, that and the other. But the reality of the situation is we seriously need to start looking at buying some players or bringing in some players. And I know that article read that, Everton are interested in hearing the candidates that the managers want to bring in as players to strengthen the squad, given that, we badly need to do that before Monday. But are they interested? If Frank Lampard turns to Farhad Moshiri and goes, I want to bring in Ruben Loftus-Cheek on loan because he'll strengthen our midfield, and I want to bring in, somebody else in the defence. Is Farhad Moshiri going to want Ruben Loftus-Cheek? Is he a big enough name for Farhad Moshiri? Is he a big enough name for Kia Jordan? Because he doesn't really make Kia Jordan any money. So, or will Kia Jordan say, well, why would we want to do that when we can go and bring in this player who's going to make me £15 million? So, again, I question whether or not, the club saying that, or that report stating that the board certainly the owner has asked for that. I question whether that's under the right intentions. But let's go on the basis that it is under the right intentions, and that the club seriously just want these managers to talk about who they're going to bring in and who they're able to bring in before Monday's deadline, which is right ultimately, because we need to bring in a couple of players if we've got any hope of staying up, because the squad is absolutely on its arse at the moment, and injuries are only making that worse. I'm not going to lie to you all. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here. I'm quite furious, to be honest. I'm quite furious about this whole situation, and I didn't think Everton could get me more angry. I didn't think Everton could get me more upset. I didn't think Everton could get me, more frustrated than it has over the last 24 hours. But it's pissed me off. A couple of things have pissed me off. How this is such a public thing. I mean, you had Sarvar Ismailov, who obviously is Alisher Usmanov's nephew, who was sacked from the Everton board or walked away from the Everton board earlier on last year because of something that was in the press, which wasn't particularly great. In fact, it was dreadful. And you've got him putting polls on Instagram this morning saying Frank in or out, as if he's like an Everton fan page, trying to gauge what fans want. Well, gauge what fans want all you like, but at the end of the day, you are a direct relation of somebody that has got a lot of power within Everton Football Club, and you yourself had a lot of power within Everton Football Club not so long ago. So why is this being played out on social media? It almost was as if Mashiri or Usmanov had said, throw a little poll out there and see what everyone wants, but they don't need to do that. They can log on to Twitter or Instagram or whatever and see openly what the fans want. And the majority of Evertonians, I think it's fair to say at the moment, want Frank Lampard. And whilst that mightn't be because Frank Lampard's the best manager in the world, whilst it might be because we've got two options to pick and Frank Lampard is the lesser of the two evils, again, regardless of the reason, most Evertonians now want Frank Lampard at the football club or Duncan Ferguson. I've seen a lot of people today saying, well, if Dunk's still in the hat, then I'd rather Dunk than Lampard and Pereira. As I said yesterday, for me, I would rather Lampard than Pereira because I think he's less of a risk than Pereira. I don't necessarily think Lampard's a great manager, and I am still worried that Lampard wouldn't keep us up. By the way, I don't think we're an absolute dead set to stay up with Lampard in charge, but I'm less concerned with that decision than it would be if it was Vitor Pereira, and the same goes for Duncan Ferguson. I'm less concerned with Duncan Ferguson than I am with the other two, so... you'd like to hope that the decision would be made on that basis of who is the less risk and who has got the biggest chance of keeping us in the Premier League. And I think out of the three of them, it certainly isn't Vitor Pereira that's got that biggest chance. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But that's one thing that's really, really pissed me off over the last 24 hours is this is so public. Sky Sports are coming out and, again, saying there's going to be a board meeting today, regarding... who will be the next Everton manager, and it'll be decided and it could even be announced today. I mean, there's clearly people within the club that are giving information out to people like Sky and various different media sources, and it's such a public matter. This should be a private matter. This is our football club. This is a massive decision. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is the biggest decision Farhad Mashiri will ever make during his time at Everton, will ever make. And it's being broadcasted all over, the television. It's being broadcast. You've got managerial candidates going out and doing interviews. You've got pictures of the chairman turning up outside of his, his office. You've got, again, news that is clearly coming from the football club. Who else would it be coming from? How else would anybody know that there was a board meeting tonight and that a decision could be made? Someone at the club has obviously leaked that information to the mainstream media. Why? Why do you need to leak that information? Is it because they feel there's pressure from the fans? I honestly think, and I'll hold my hands up here, I honestly think this board is shit scared of the fans. Absolutely shit scared. I think the way they feel like communication should be done is by telling us everything. That isn't what we want. We want to be communicated when it comes down to big decisions, managerial decisions, the future of the football club, the long-term plan, what's going on, why certain decisions have been made, i.e. selling Luca Dean, i.e. the managerial stuff. We don't need to know every time Bill Kenwright goes the bog, or every time Farhad Mashiri looks out the window, or every time they plan a meeting. Obviously, there's going to be a meeting tonight because they're all in London. What else were they going to do? Sit in fucking Nando's and have a chat? Obviously, there's going to be a meeting, but that doesn't need to go out publicly on Sky Sports. And if you're going to tell us as fans, if you're going to speak to us, if you're going to say, yeah, we're having a meeting tonight, there'll be a decision made, fucking come out and talk to us. Talk to us through our own medium, through EvertonFC.com, through Everton's Twitter. Don't be running to Sky or TalkSport or whatever. Why? Why is this being played out for the whole world to see? It just doesn't make any sense. And I know that Sky are reporting in and Jason says Sky would have a reporter at any club who's getting new managers. Not unusual. It isn't, and I get that, and that's fine. That's fine. But do other boards give, information to Sky that should be kept strictly, confidential? Do other boards, sort of push managers to go and do an interview on Sky before they're appointed? I don't think they do. And as I said, another thing is the whole interviewing, interviewing the three candidates again today. I was listening to one of the Everton Spaces yesterday on Twitter last night after the live stream, and the Bobble was on, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. And I've had a couple of conversations with the Bobble over Twitter DM, but I've never really spoke to him. I've never spoke to him in person. Seems like a genuinely nice fella, but he made a really, really good point, and it was aside to any of the information that he gives out, and it really come from the heart of an Evertonian, and you could tell it was the Bobble speaking as himself, as a Blue. And he spoke about Everton messing professionals around, Everton creating bad relationships with people because they're fucking them about. Frank Lampard has had, 2-3 interviews now? What is the need for them to do another interview? What have Everton gotten out of what Frank Lampard has said today that they didn't get from what he said yesterday or the day before or whenever he was first interviewed? What have Everton got from having many conversations with Vitor Pereira? 1 interview, 2 interviews, phone him up, ask him a couple of questions. Why do we need 45 interviews for every manager? Why is Duncan Ferguson only just being brought into the equation now? Why wasn't he interviewed 2 weeks ago? He's literally at USM Finch Farm. He's managing the side. He should have been the first person they interviewed. And if he was, and he's coming up for a second interview, I mean, when have you ever... It's like fucking X Factor. When have you ever known a football club to be like, yeah, we've interviewed all of these people... We've interviewed them at different times. What we're going to do now is they've passed the rehearsal stage. They get to the judges' houses and they're all going to come down to London and it's going to be like a face-off. What are they doing? Having a fucking dance-off or something in Ken Wright's office? Trying to recite the latest script from Coronation Street to see who can do it the best so Ken Wright chooses the next manager. Are they there talking to Farhad Mashiri about how boss fucking... I don't know, whatever he's into is, and then he's going to decide on that basis? Or are they saying to Kia, I'll bring in whoever you want, mate, and I'll line your pockets with as much dough as possible? Why is it a final standoff of we're going to interview them all another time? Have you not gotten what you want from the interviews already? Enough to make a decision? Seriously. It seems to me like there's a real power problem at Everton Football Club. Real power problem. And by that, you've got an owner who ultimately makes the decisions because he's the owner. You've got a chairman who shouldn't be making any fucking decision. In fact, he shouldn't be on our board. What do you think of him or not? He sold this club 6 years ago, and at that point, that should have been his decision-making gone. He sold the club. He's not, he's not part of the club anymore. Well, he's not, a decision-making anymore. You've got a CEO who may have a different opinion to everybody else. There was a report a couple of days ago saying that Dennis Baxendale wanted Lampard. You've got Kia Jarabshian, who will definitely not want Frank Lampard because he won't make him as much money as Vitor Pereira will. You've got Alisher Usmanov, who, again, might want a different decision. There's a real power problem at the top of Everton Football Club. People talk about, where the problems are at Everton and what the problems are, and it's simple for me. I look and I think, how can you not see the problem at Everton? The problem at any business, if any business is failing, I've said this before, whether you sell fucking paper planes or whether you're a Premier League football club, any business that is failing comes from the top. It comes from the top. Ananda says you can't be mad at journalists for doing the job. I'm not mad at the Jim White stuff. I spoke about Jim White. Ananda's, I think if you'd have been in the team the other day, I said I've got no problem with Jim White. No problem with him. All he's doing is trying to get exclusive information for his show that will boost his numbers. My problem is with the owner talking to Jim White. But no, as I said, you've got people at the top of the club who clearly don't agree with each other, because if they agreed with each other, this decision would have been made days and days ago. You've got a club which is interviewed a number of candidates and then basically said, what we're going to do is we're going to put it out to the media that these specific 3 are going to be interviewed again, as if it's like fucking Britain's Got Talent, and then a final decision will be made. Well, what happens if a final decision isn't made tonight? What happens if Everton come out and Sky release a statement, or the Telegraph or whatever later saying it's now down to 2, it's Duncan Ferguson and Vitor Pereira, or it's Vitor Pereira and Frank Lampard, like they've eliminated one, like a fucking knockout competition in the finals tomorrow? Shouldn't be being played out like this. If the board had any clue how to run a football club and had any clue about the future of this football club, if the board had a plan and a structure in place, we wouldn't be in this situation. Because the 3 managers we're being linked with are very different. Especially Pereira and Lampard, very different types of managers. So if there was any structure, if there was any plan, if there was any cohesion, if there was any real sort of, ideas to look forward, this decision would have been made. But as Bobble said yesterday, and Bobble's spot on, by the way, absolutely spot on. Stop fucking about professionals. Because what happens is we'll get to the summer, and if it is Vitor Pereira and he comes in and he's a shambles, we'll get to the summer and the board will go, yeah, well, we'll ask Frank. And Frank will go, you're messing, aren't you? You brought me down for 4 interviews last time. I basically said everything I'm going to do and who I'm going to bring in. And then you went, nah, you're all right, we've made our decision. No one's saying don't interview managers. Obviously, you've got to interview managers, but is there a need to interview managers 3 times and then bring them all to the one place? What were they doing? Is it like a fucking job I know it's a job interview, but is it like when you go for a job interview and you're sitting there in the room and there's 2 other people in the room, and fucking Lampard and Duncan Pereira sitting there like that, looking at each other, thinking who's going to be next in? Who's going to be next in to see Bill? Who's going to be next in to talk about the latest rendition of Coronation Street? It's so amateur. It just is so amateur. And I just don't get it. I don't understand how this club can be so badly run. And I know Tony Bellew was on TalkSport today saying, oh, be careful what you wish for. Farhad Moshiri's done great for Everton. He's given us 500 million and this, that and the other. Great. He's given us 500 million. He's wasted 500 million. I would have rather of him have put a good structure in place and given us a fraction of that money, 100 million, 200 million, 50 million. But have a good structure in place with a good transfer policy and the right people at the club. I'd rather that than what Farhad Moshiri has done. And what he's done is throw 500 million at something with no structure, with no plan, with no idea, and wasted the money. Absolutely wasted the money. And ultimately, it's baffling. It's fucking absolutely baffling how we're coming to this. You know, it's Friday night tonight. We all should be sitting here going, do you know what? It's Friday night. We've had a tough week. People work. People go to school. You know, this, that, and the other. And Bellew, listen, I like Tony Bellew, but he was sprouting shite. He was absolutely sprouting shite before. I don't care what anyone said. He was sprouting shite. If he, you know, you've got Meatball Molly there, who's on the other side of the fence, who was protesting the other day with the 27 campaign, who understands, you know, the actual sort of the meaning behind that, and you know how badly this board are fucked up. And Bellew seems to only be interested in not getting his, you know, premium ticket taken off him of a match day. If he really looked into this football club, he knows himself that it's being run like a fucking circus. He knows that. As I said, Bashiri could have put 500 fucking billion in with no plan. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter. And there has been no plan for 6 years. There's been no structure. There's been no ideas. There's been no development. And you know what's really, really mad as well? It was all there. It was all there in play for Moshiri when he come in. We'd had Moyes who'd really instilled a real sort of, you know, we fight for this club and we battle for this club and every player's got to give everything for the club. You had all of that there. We were a team that were a consistent challenger for Europe, in and around the top 5 to 8 teams in the league. You know, we finished 5th under Martinez the season before Moshiri come in. And he comes in, and I don't think we've finished higher than 7th since. Most of the seasons we've finished in the bottom half. It's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. You know, as I said, the treatment of these managerial candidates. Listen, one will be happy at the end of the day. One will be happy. If it's not Duncan, he'll be thinking, why the fuck have you dragged me down to London to do an interview with me when you know I'm not going to get the job? If it's not Lampard, he'll be thinking, well, I'm never talking to that club again because you fucked me about. And as I said, Bobble is absolutely right, absolutely spot on. In this situation, stop messing these people about. They're professionals. They for what we know are good. Same with Vitor Pereira, by the way. Absolutely the same. If Vitor Pereira come out on Sky literally 3 days ago and said, I've had all of the interviews, I've had all of the talks, I've spoken to multiple different people across multiple different days, I've spoken to everyone, I've now been told, be patient and wait for the decision, only for 2 days later the club to tell him to come down and speak again. He's probably sitting there thinking, what more do I have to fucking say? It screams of a lack of idea. It screams of a lack of plan. And if this situation doesn't scream that this board haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing, then I really don't know what does. I really don't know what does, if I'm being honest with you. This tells us more than anything that this board isn't fit for purpose. Because if there was a plan in place, if there was organisation, if there was ideas, if there was a structure, it A, wouldn't have taken this long, and B, they wouldn't need to interview managers 365 times to make a decision. But what can we do? Just by the way, if you think if you're sort of wondering why I'm moving my mouth or I keep prodding my mouth, I've got an ulcer and it's fucking sore. Apologies for the language, but I'm fuming. It's really, really, really sore at the minute, so it's difficult to talk. The golfer says, playing devil's advocate, Cam, fans were saying there's no need to rush, and now fans are saying we need to appoint ASAP. Damn did they do, damn they don't. Not defendable, by the way. Listen, I get it. I think in a typical circumstance, there wouldn't be a need to rush. And they didn't rush. The club took 8 weeks to appoint Rafa Benitez in the summer. 8 weeks from when Carlo Ancelotti left. So there was no rush then, and they still made a dreadful decision. But the circumstances that we're in, mid-January, we don't play now till February. We're in a relegation battle, and the transfer window shuts on Monday. This is a need to rush. We absolutely need to rush this. And if the club don't want to rush bringing someone externally in, give it to Duncan Ferguson for the end of the season. But ultimately, people will say, we don't want a rush decision. But we're in this situation because when they didn't have to make a rush decision and they took 8 weeks to make a decision, they employed a manager that we all knew wouldn't last 10 minutes. We all knew it. So, again, another awful decision by the board. Let's just have a look to see if anything else is being said on social media, and then we will get in the live comments. 250 people watching, by the way. If you could get them likes up, that'd be absolutely unbelievable. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to join the channel, by the way, and become a member, it's the join button. It's only 99p, and it would mean a massive amount to me. And as I said, if you could hit that like button, that would be great as well. We are going to talk about Wayne Rooney in a moment, because Wayne Rooney has come out and done a press conference today, and basically spoke about how he turned the Everton job down, which is interesting, so we'll talk about that in a moment. Jimmy Graham says, stress that also, Cam. Yeah, I've heard that. Stress and anxiety and stuff like that. It is. It's fucking Everton. I blame Everton for this ulcer. I really, really do. So, do you know, if I come on here later and do an announcement video for the manager, or tomorrow morning, let's be honest, it'll be more likely tomorrow morning, and I'm speaking like, oh, everyone, it's because Everton have caused me that much stress that my mouth's in bits. Let's get into the comments then. Let's get into the comments. Daniel says, how are we, lads? How are we, mate? Hope you're doing well. DGST says, go ahead, Cam is right, mate. Thank you very much. Daniel says, how are we, Cam? How are you, Cam? Stephen says, let's get it done, then get a couple of midfielders in. Yeah, Daniel, I'm not too bad, mate. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to actually throw a poll in there. Now, this poll isn't going to be, who do we want as manager? This poll is going to be, who do we think will be the new Everton manager? So, I'll put it there. Who do you, and I'll capitalise think, will be the next Everton manager? So honestly, in your heart, what does your head say? In your heart, that does make no sense. What does your head say? Not what your heart says and who you want. What does your head say? Who do you think will be? Because I'm really interested to hear this, because my heart at the minute says either Dunk or Lampard, and again, I'm not particularly overfused about, either of those options, but I think the best, certainly Duncan, I think, is the best out of that bunch. But my head says Vito Pereira. I just think it'll be Vito Pereira. I just think Machiri's made this decision, and the reason we're in this sort of shit show of meetings and final interviews and that is because he's just trying to buy himself some time to sort of say, and do as much to sort of say, yeah, he's the right man for the job. I personally think it'll be Pereira, but I could be wrong. Let us know. Who do you think will be the new Everton manager? Not who do you want, because I'm sure most of us will want either Dunk or Lampard, but who do you think will be the new Everton manager? Let us know in the poll. It's up now. 250 people watching. Get your votes in. Quick votes in so far. 50 people voted already. Unbelievable. 64% think it'll genuinely will be Lampard. 20% for Pereira, 16% for Dunk. Interesting. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get some midfielders in, says Stephen. Absolutely. Well, lads, says same old Everton. What's happening? Smashing it, Cam, says Sean is right. I'm so scared, says Daniel. Me too. Mosh consulting the board, never. Well, it doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter if he consults the board. Machiri could sit down with them all today and go, right, okay, let's say for argument's sake, there's Graham Sharp, Bill Kenwright, Farhad Machiri, let's say Denise Barrett-Baxendale's there, and Kajir Abachan's in the corner, making tea, and, being an obed. Let's say those 5 people are in the room, 6 people, whatever. And Kenwright, Denise, and Usmanov all say, let's say Kenwright, Denise, and Graham Sharp all say Lampard. Lampard was amazing there. He had a great interview. He was brilliant. He spoke really highly. He's got this player, that player, this player that he wants to bring in. He'd be great. He'd be absolutely great. And Kia says, whoever's going to make me the most money. And Usmanov says, it's up to you, Farhad. And Farhad's sitting there thinking, right, I've consulted the board. 3 out of 5 want Lampard, and the other 2 aren't really that interested. I'll go for Vitor Pereira instead. He can consult the board all he likes. He can sit down and have a conversation with them. If he's going to make the decision that he wants to make, which he's proven before. This isn't me just having a go far at Machiri under no evidence. Machiri has proven before when he's gone against people's advice. He went against the fans in the summer. I'm probably the chairman in regards to Rafa Benitez. He's gone against people before. He's proven before that when he wants something, he will go against other people and get what he wants. So why would this be any different? But he might want Lampard instead of Vitor Pereira. Who knows? We don't know. If only he could talk to Jim White. I'm only messing. Don't talk to Jim White. I love my koi pond. Haha, up the toffee, says DJS. Is right, mate, is right. I'll do Blue Nose, says Peter. What's happening? How long do you suppose Frank Lampard's contract will be? I would assume it would either be 1.5 years or 2.5 years, because it won't be a round number because we're in January. I don't think he'd take it till the end of the season. And I think the reason that Vitor Pereira is still very much in the conversation is probably because he's the only willing to take it till the end of the season. But then again, I think Duncan could take it till the end of the season. Alan Myers put a report out yesterday saying Duncan Ferguson would take the job until the end of the season, and he's got the support of the players as well, which should go for something, really. It should. If Dunk's got the support of the players, if the players have gone to the board or whoever and said we want it to be Dunk, then that should go for most, I think. That should really tell you the story, because these are the players that have got the responsibility of keeping us in this league. So if they're actively coming out and saying we want to play under Dunk, then I'd give it to Dunk on that basis alone, because then he's likely to get more out the players than any of the others will. And you could say, yeah, but tactically, Vitor Pereira tactically ain't very good, and Lampard tactically is susceptible as well. So, but we'll wait and see. Damien says, all right, Cam, hope you're well. All this is doing me head in now. Just wish they'd come out and say who it is. Yeah. Jason says, hi, Cam, hi, everybody. Really hope we know before bedtime. Well, I'm going out for a pint in about a couple of hours or so. So if anything does break, in terms of they've announced somebody, I'll try and get a video out. It might be a drunken video, but I'll try and make it not a drunken video. But I honestly, gut feeling thinks that it'll be if a decision's made tonight, it'll be announced tomorrow. I think they'll announce it either tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. But then again, they're keen to get information out to the media about how they were having this meeting, that they might just announce it tonight, who knows. But I would expect that by some point tonight, we'll sort of know who it is, and it'll just be a case of it being announced. Imagine we go like that. Imagine we go into tomorrow and there's an announcement meant to be made and we genuinely don't know how it is. Because typically in this type of situation, I'll let you into a little creative secret here about YouTubers and specifically me. I know a couple of other YouTubers that do this as well. Typically, let's say we were sitting here now and we were like, yeah, it's Lampard. It's going to be Lampard, isn't it? We all know it's going to be Lampard. This, that, and the other. What I'd do after this stream is I'd make a little welcome Frank Lampard video, 10 or 15 minutes long. I'd talk about him for a bit. I'd do that. I'd upload it to schedule. And then, to private, and then when it gets announced, inevitably, I'd just press upload, like I did with Rafa Benitez in the summer, like we did when Ancelotti got sacked because we knew it was happening. With this, I'd have to make 3 different videos about 3 different managers, upload them all, and then delete 2 of them at the end of it. It's nonsense. Have we ever been in a situation where we're all sitting here saying it genuinely could be one of 3 managers? Who knows? Do it in the pub video, Cam. I might have to, mate. I might have to. Jay Dunn says, what you drink? I'm drinking water at the moment, but in terms of when I'm going to the pub, it will be probably 18 gallons of Jaeger bomb to get over what this week has been. No, it'll be bottles of Peroni or Heineken or something like that. Wish they'd just hurry up, says Sam. Yeah, come on. It was a Rafa type starting lineup. Martin says, Cam, maybe the board have asked the 3 just to say thanks for applying for the job, but Ella's got the job. Lampard has got the job. Maybe, but surely you wouldn't waste Duncan Ferguson's time bringing him all the way to London on the train, taking him away from training, which is really important. By the way, let's not forget he's the current manager of the football club until a new manager is named. So he is being taken away from training today, from his duties with the first team, to get him all the way to London to go, thanks for your interviews, but we're not employing you. It wouldn't put it past me. But it would be a nonsense. Fuck it, just upload all 3 for the laugh. Imagine it, says the golfer. Dunk was a bit shit last week, to be fair. Taking goal now. Yeah, I think he bottled some of the decisions that he made, if I'm being honest with you. But again, you know, clearly the players have got that relationship with him, and clearly the players want him more than they want certain other people. So Need two midfielders ASAP, says Gavin. Absolutely. Sam says needs centre mids desperately. Yeah. Old Roger is a top ale Cam. I don't think they sell that in the pub by ours. Drunk Cam, says Bright. Jimmy says, what sort of players do we go for? Players that have fought relegation battle or good prospects. Hard workers. Physical hard workers who are, athletic and suited to this league. A little bit like a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, in my opinion. Gavin says Ruben Loftus-Cheek can take a punt on Van der Beek. Sorry, he's going to Palace, I believe. Yeah, but I agree with the Dunk thing. I think he maybe sort of bottled last week in regards to team selection and stuff. I think his substitutes were fine. And I actually think the way we played was much better than we've played in recent weeks. I actually think we worked a lot harder. We just come short. But if he's got more time and if he gets the job and if he brings a couple of players in, then I think Duncan could be more than all right. I really, really do. Why are they interviewing people in London, says James? Because that's where Ken Wright's got an office and that's where Machiri's got an office, I believe. So, yeah. Maybe they're telling Lampard that he can stay in London if he wants and, manage fucking somebody else at the same time like he did with Martinez. It's going to be a drunken video, 100%, says Peter. Well, we'll wait and see. I don't usually get drunk, but we'll wait and see. Hi, Cam, hi, everybody. Oh, we read that one out. Machiri's backing whoever the new manager is, fair play. Well, we've got to back whoever the new manager is as well, and I'm going to do a video either way on Monday. Before all the transfer stuff, talking about how we need to get behind the new manager now. Spoke about it a couple of times briefly in these teams about how we just need to focus on making Goodison Park an absolute fortress and get behind these players, because if we don't, we're going down regardless of who the manager is. So we need to make it an absolute bear pit every single time we're there, and I'm going to do that video on Monday, so look out for that one. If you are enjoying, by the way, could we get the likes up with 93 likes, 7 away from 100? If you could get to 100 before we finish, that'd be amazing. 255 people watching, which is unbelievable again. There is a poll in the chat. Don't forget to go and vote on it. It's got 121 votes so far. It is, who do you think will be the new Everton manager? In your heart, in your head, not your heart, not who you want, not who you prefer. Who do you think will be the new Everton manager deep down? I think it'll be Vitor Pereira personally, because I think that's who the owner wants, and I think the owner will get who he wants ultimately. Anything on players? We need some, says Mike. A couple of rumours today. There was a Loftus-Cheek rumour today, and there's been a couple of other rumours. But again, it'll be dependent on who comes in as manager. If Frank Lampard comes in, then I think we'll get Loftus-Cheek. If Vitor Pereira comes in, I don't think we'll get Loftus-Cheek. So it's one of them, isn't it? Take your time, board. It's not like we need players. Says, where me, yeah. Kia Leach Rabshian shouldn't be in the room. He shouldn't, but he probably will be. Peter says, loads of DCL transfer rumours today, 70 mil. Yeah, as expected, to be fair, as expected. If we don't stay up, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will 100% go. And if we do stay up, he might still go, because, I think we sat here last summer and spoke about Dominic Calvert-Lewin leaving the club, so we shouldn't be surprised that the topic is coming up again, should we really? Because that's how it goes, isn't it? That's how it goes. Damien says we need to stop handing out big contracts, give them 12 to 18 month contracts so there's no big payoff when it comes to an end, which it will. Yeah, interesting. And James says, hi Cam lads, I know we're all hating what's going on, we just got to stick together and move up the table, that's all that matters. Yeah, you're spot on, mate, you're spot on. That is absolutely all that matters. Loads of comments again, absolutely unbelievable comments, by the way, unbelievable amount of support on the channel. I really, really do appreciate it. Heineken only £1.99 a bottle in my club, Cam is right. I'd say no to Big Dunk, not because he can't do the job, but because I don't want him to ever leave the club, says Pete. But if he's the best man for the job, then I think this is the right time for Dunk to be given the job, to be honest. I just think it is. I can just want to see how to run a football club, get players in. Look, Villa says, Willie, they ran much better than what Everton are at the moment. They are. But so are Brighton, and so are Brentford, and so are a lot of teams. Brentford are a much better run football club than Everton, and they'll overtake us in coming years if we're not careful. Yeah, anyway, let's have a little look at what ex-Everton player, academy graduate, and more recently managerial, I was going to say candidate then, but he never really was a candidate, was he? Managerial rumoured Wayne Rooney has had to say today regarding Everton. So he's done his pre-game press conference, I can only assume, to Derby's game over the weekend, and he was asked directly about the Everton's job, probably because the media knew that there was some sort of meeting today in London, and he was asked basically, where was your stance on it? Did you get asked? Did you not get asked? What do you feel about it? And he come out with some really, really interesting comments and an interesting quote that I seem to have lost. So bear with me while I get it up. Here we go. He said that Everton approached my agents and asked me to interview for the job. I turned them down. I believe I will be a Premier League manager, and I'm ready for that 100%, but I have a job to do at Derby, which is important to me. Yeah. Sensible decision by Wayne Rooney there, really, isn't it? I mean, there's not much else to say about it. I know that might have upset a lot of Evertonians. I know that might have frustrated a lot of Evertonians, but I think that's a sensible decision from Wayne. I think effectively what he's doing there and what he's saying there is that, you know, he's got a job to do at Derby. He's doing it. He's doing a really good job there, and he wants to sort of stay out and finish that finish that task. And I also think it's quite evident of the situation at Everton in at the moment as well. Don't get me wrong, I think Wayne Rooney has said that and decided to, turn down the proposal because he does want to stay at Derby, and I do think he's got a loyalty to Derby, and I think it would be unfair to say he hasn't. But I definitely think there's an element of Wayne Rooney looking at Everton and thinking, fucking hell, they're in an absolute shambles as well. At least this shambles at Derby. I'm already here. I'm already doing well, and the fans are backing me massively because, they've seen what we've come from and how far we've got. If I go to Everton, that's another completely new shambles, and I've got massive pressure on staying in the Premier League. It says a lot when, somebody's looking at Derby and considering it less of a shambles than what Everton is at the moment. And you can say to me that's not the case, and it's just because he's loyal and this, that, and the other. He's definitely... Wayne Rooney would have definitely, if we were in a better position and we were, I don't know, fighting for 6th, 7th in the league, fighting for European football, and Wayne Rooney was approached, he would have definitely taken that interview. Whether he'd have gotten the job or accepted the job or whatever, that's by the by, it's a different point, but he would have definitely accepted to be interviewed by Everton. He's obviously looked at Derby and thought, I've got a task to do here and I want to be loyal to it, fine. But I also think there's an element of him looking at Everton and thinking, that club is in an absolute fucking horror stage at the moment. And he's an Evertonian, so he'll know that. He'll know what's going on around the club. He's been around football long enough. He's an Evertonian. And he'll also probably know that in 18 months' time, 12 months' time, the job will come up again and he'll be touted about for it again. So he'll know that this isn't his only chance to get the Everton job. It's not like a now or never for him. If it was, then he'd have probably wanted the interview or wanted to take the job. It's more of a now or in 12 months' time or in 18 months' time or whatever. So... yeah, interesting comments there. Can't really blame Wayne Rooney, to be honest, and I've not really got any ill feeling towards Wayne Rooney for the comments, but it was definitely worth having a chat about. And definitely worth mentioning. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on those. As I said, don't forget to get your vote in on the poll, by the way. Lampard or Dunk or Pereira. Who do you think will be the next Everton manager? I've got the hiccups. Who does your heart say will become the next Everton manager? Not who do you want. Sorry, not who does your heart say. Who does your head say? Rather than your heart. Tim says, I watched Lampard's interview with Gary Neville on his podcast, makes me want him more. I think he's going to do well. I can understand why, a lot of Blues have listened to Lampard and what he said and all of the interviews he's done and stats and stuff and felt like that, he's the right man for the job. He's the right man to take it forward. And there's certainly a lot more optimism around the Lampard appointment than there is the Vitor Pereira appointment. And I think there'd be a lot more optimism around the Duncan Ferguson appointment had last week not being such an anticlimactic disappointment. But, as I said, we'll wait and see. A couple of Reds in here today. That's nice, isn't it? What's that? 10-6 on a Friday night. Got nothing better to do with their lives. Not like their team are about to sign an unbelievably good forward. Why would they want to go and talk about that when they can talk about Everton? Obsessed, mate. Obsessed. It just shows his loyalty and wants to finish the job at Derby, says Matty. Hernandez says he definitely knows that the whole club called for Ferguson to take over the team for the rest of the season before the Villa game. Then he played John Joe and now he isn't good enough. Again, look, he made some bad decisions, Dunk, on the weekend. I'll admit that. I will admit that he made some questionable decisions and decisions that, maybe he couldn't have afforded to get wrong. But I still don't think that means he's not the right man for the job. I wanted Duncan Ferguson before Saturday, and I still want Duncan Ferguson in now. And if he's in the running, I think he's more suited than Vitor Pereira, absolutely. The Lampard thing's interesting because of how well Lampard done with Chelsea. He done well with Derby, but the money that he spent and the fact that, the results that he got out of it and the players that he brought in will say that he didn't actually do as amazing as some people think. But he done okay there. But it's interesting, isn't it? As I said, we're no further down the line. It's 10-6. The club are due to have a board meeting tonight and a decision could be made. That's according to Sky Sports. whether we'll hear about that decision tonight or not, I would expect, if you were to ask me, how do you think it will go now, Cam? I think that I don't think there'll be an announcement tonight, an official announcement by the football club, but I think the media will be fed information that one candidate has got the job effectively, and I think you'll start to see reports that it's either Lampard or it's Pereira or it's Duncan Ferguson, and then I think you'll see an announcement over the weekend. I just don't think you'd see an announcement tonight, but I may be wrong. Maybe I'll be wrong. Will says, got an audible feeling it's Pereira. I said that before, mate. I said that. Come on, Super Frank Lampard, says Jason. Jack the lad says, what's taking them so long? Only a few days to get signings in. They're probably all sitting there thinking, we'll go for a scan and then we'll make a decision. Should we go to pitches? Should we all go and see the new Spider-Man? Oh my God, we'll all go and see the new Spider-Man and then we'll make a decision. And then they've been to see the new Spider-Man and they've left and gone, fuck the manager situation off. What went on in that film? That was amazing. And then they've talked about that for the next 4 hours, and all of a sudden now Bill's gone, fucking hell, my train's you in 10 minutes. See you later, everyone. We'll talk about this on Monday. Club is ran by fucking clowns, and that's why it's a circus. That's why this club is rotted from top to bottom, because the people at the top are fucking disgraceful and don't know how to run a football club. Blue Cali says, wonder if one day Rooney comes to us and does well, and Man United shows him the same loyalty. I don't know whether necessarily Rooney's end game as a manager would be Man United. I think he would look at how other managers, and specifically Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, got on with that and how that ended, and maybe turn an eye to that. But who knows? You can never tell in football, can you? You can never tell. Good to see Tim Cale back, says Andy. Jimmy says, I hope this winter break the club takes the time to do some sort of team bonding exercise. Speaking from a military point of view, it worked. It helped when I had the chance to bond with other soldiers. Is right, mate? Is right, yeah. Is the Portuguese Joker gets the job, there will be immunity at the club and there'll be protests on the roof, so get your blankets and butties ready, hope it doesn't rain. And that's another big thing is listen, again, I said this yesterday, rightly or wrongly, the majority of the fan base now is certainly fully on board with the idea of bringing in Lampard over Vitor Pereira. Now, again, maybe that's a little bit unfair towards Vitor Pereira, because we don't specifically know whether he'd be a success, and we don't specifically know whether Lampard would be a success. But the reality of the situation is that what we need at the moment is unity. What we need at the moment is the board to make a decision that everyone can get behind. And I'll get behind Vitor Pereira, and I'm sure a lot of Evertonians will get behind Vitor Pereira. But there would already be a pre-existing anxiety there, a pre-existing worry, a pre-existing stress, like there was with Rafa Benitez when most Evertonians got behind Rafa Benitez, despite what the media will tell you, which is nonsense. I don't know an Evertonian that didn't get behind Rafa Benitez from the start. But we all knew that as soon as it went a little bit pear-shaped, as soon as it went a little bit wrong, a lot of people would turn on that because of, the situation behind Rafa Benitez. I think it'll be the same with Vitor Pereira. With Frank Lampard, I think he'd get a bit more leeway, and I think there'd be a bit more of a positive energy around the club, and that's what we need at the moment. And if it was Diego Simeone and Frank Lampard, you'd be thinking, yeah, but Diego Simeone is a much better manager, so it's about the better manager. Vitor Pereira isn't a much better manager than Frank Lampard, despite the fact that he's won a title in Greece and Portugal. So if you're looking at two managers that have had, again, Lampard has obviously got a Premier League experience, Pereira's got none. Okay, Pereira's won league titles, I understand that, Lampard's got none. But this may boil down to who is going to be more accepted as a manager by the fans. Because tactically, people will go, oh yeah, but tactically Pereira tactically, there's fucking nothing there tactically to go off. So, I don't know. I don't know. We'll wait and see. As of yet, there's nothing other than we know that the three are in London and have either had interviews or are due to have interviews, and according to Sky, there'll be a board meeting today and a decision could be made. Blue Cali says, please tell me why Lampard will be good. Look at the squad he had at Chelsea and the money he had to spend. The transfer ban and got sacked. Why would he be good for us? We're in a relegation battle. Interesting. Whoever gets it will back him, says Mike. Yeah. Gavin says, if it's Pereira, get behind him. Never know, he might shock us. Yeah. DGST says Oasis is right. James says, Machete and Bill are probably playing the animal step. Winner chooses the manager. Wouldn't surprise me. Always be our legend. Don't want another legend as manager, says Rooney. Says CP about Rooney. Man United fan. Lampard, the born winner, he didn't settle for mediocrity. So was Ancelotti. You come to Everton and it doesn't matter whether you're the biggest winner in the world. This board will make you settle for mediocrity because that's what they've settled for years and they believe it's acceptable. Certainly the chairman. Seat says we need players that play for the shirt, not the money. We need a manager who shows inspiration, loyalty and respect, not a big paycheck. Money talks, but passion talks a lot more. Big Dunk needs it. Johnny says Lampard. Gavin says why? Because he made some mistakes in one game. Keane, Coleman, Pickford have been making mistakes for the last 3 seasons. Not really Pickford, but I agree with the other two. Lampard knows what it takes in this league, says Jimmy. Fair enough. Fair enough. Phil says take the down the Grafton. Vane would love it. Matthew says, does Vito Pereira wear a tracksuit on the sidelines, or does he do it with Notting on? Who knows, mate? Who knows? Be interesting if he did it with Notting on, though, wouldn't it? Would be interesting. Why have they brought Sharp in as a board member? I don't know. Hopefully he'll have some form of say, but I can't tell you whether he will or he won't. I wonder what the reaction would be if Tim Kerr got the manager's job. It would be a proper Coronation City Stenders moment, and it wouldn't surprise me if Bill Kenwright wanted to do that just to see the reaction. And as I said, if you're in the chat, make sure you hit the like button and get involved in the poll. Thank you very much. We are going to finish this team in a moment, by the way, because my mouth is throbbing. So do get involved in the poll before we finish that. Who do you think will be the new Everton manager? Lampard, Dunk or Pereira? Get your votes in. 198 votes. Let's get that over 200. 245 people watching. If you could get the likes up as well, that'd be amazing. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. The EGS says, breaking news, quick, go to Sky Sports. You're not having me on here, mate, are you? You're not having me on. Please don't tell me you're having me on. Is there any breaking news? No. Somebody's made a fake Fabrizio Romano account, which is always great. Am I being ad on here? Am I being ad off? I think I'm being ad off here. I don't think there's any breaking news, everyone, unfortunately. Is there? Let's have a little look. Usually Sky Sports do the old, usually Sky Sports do the old notification, and I haven't had a notification. So, no, I don't think there's any latest information or any latest update. Yeah. DGS having me on there. Having me on, mad style. I think Machete needs to start acting like a big club owner, says Jason. Yeah. Jack the lad says, did Ancelotti put all his effort in, knowing that his son was doing most of the tactics? But that's how he's worked at other clubs, and it's worked wonders, hasn't it? Pereira has won titles in 2 horse leagues 10 years ago in Turkey and Greece, and spent 3 years in China getting a massive payday. Yeah, spot on. Duncan knows the clubs, as Anthony. Lampard will want to prove Chelsea. Maybe. Tommy says, clubs on its arse. It's not been the same since Changi was actually murdered. Mad. Blue Cali says, would have Lampard over Pereira if that's the choice. And June says, Chelsea standards considerably higher than Everton. Lampard did a good job bringing the under-23s through. His mistakes probably brought them in too soon. He's a proven winner and would be a good choice. Interesting. Toffee Blues were just saying something, says Philip. The Express report it'll be tonight. Blue Cali says, surely Big Dunk will go manage elsewhere. Yeah, probably. And yeah, as I said, the latest I've read at the minute is Sky Sports reporting that there's a board meeting tonight, and a decision could be made as early as tonight. So we'll wait and see on that one. Johnny says, still ringing that vet to receive the chicken. We've just taken out the oven for a Sunday roast, Cam. Thanks for keeping me going, Cam. See you on Goodison on Saturday. Nice one, my mate. I'll see you there. Surely the club will release a statement first, not Sky Sports. It wouldn't surprise me if Bill Kenwright and Farhad Mashiri had a fucking camera set up in the office and they were going to announce the manager as if it was a scene from fucking Alan Partridge or something. Don't be surprised if you see that tonight either. Anyway, look, we are going to finish it up there then. As I said, not an awful lot of updates, but it does seem like it's between, well, we know it's between Lampard, Pereira and Duncan Ferguson. I believe all 3 have been in London today to meet with Bill Kenwright and Farhad Mashiri. We know, obviously, Bill Kenwright and Graham Sharp are in London because they were pictured earlier today, or videoed earlier today outside of Bill Kenwright's offices. And the latest is from Sky saying that a decision could be made today and there will be a board meeting. Whether or not we heard about that decision is another question, but if we do hear anything breaking, I will try and get it up on the channel. As I said, I am going out, but if anything breaks in regards to a manager, I'll get a video up, and if anything breaks in regards to a leading candidate, we'll get something up as well. But if not, we'll be live tomorrow morning, almost indefinitely, so join us for that one tomorrow morning as well. Tyre Red Stripe, I'm on it, Cam. I don't need to fuck up Everton to make a decision and put us out of our misery. I'll have a go at that. I don't think they sell that in the pub either, though. They don't sell anything in the pub. If Pereira gets the job, I think it proves once again that Kia Jarabshian stinks of chips. Interesting. I'd like to think, that was Matthew. Jake says, I'd like to think it would be Lampard, but will probably end up being Pereira. Yeah. Well, let's actually end the poll. Let's end the poll now. Martin says, great team, Cam, and thanks for the discussion. Cheers, mate. Good job, Cam. Says Philip is right. Jim might know first. Probably. Let's end the poll now then. Out of 217 votes, over 200 people voting. Blue Cali says, cheers, Cam. Cheers. Godfrey says David Moyes has won nothing, Wayne Rooney has won nothing, Frank Lampard has won nothing, Everton needs a winner, Pereira is the only one to win something, Everton wants potential. or a winner. Interesting. The poll, 219 votes, 67 people believe it will be Frank Lampard, 16% believe it will be Pereira, and 15 believe it will be Dunk, so 15%. So, interesting. What pub are you going, Cam? I don't want to say because, yeah, privacy, but it is in the Walton area, and if you know of me, you will know where I will be. I'm a bit like one of those characters from a film. You know where to find me. Ultratsavi says, Johnny Hernandez says, all the best, Blues. Enjoy your pint, Cam. Thank you very much. Video every day this week and see you on Wednesday. Great week. Thank you very much. And there'll be another one tomorrow. And there might even be another one today, depending on what happens. We will get something up if anything breaks. So please do subscribe if you are new and you are liking these sorts of videos. If you enjoyed this team, please hit that like button. Once again, massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. Couldn't get through even a fraction of them. Well, that just shows how amazing the support is at the moment. I don't deserve all of this support, so I just want to say I'm truly grateful, and it means a massive amount to me. Thank you all so much. Matthew says, have a good night, mate. Cheers, everyone. Hope you have a good night as well. Mozza says, great team as always, Cam. Thank you very much. Cheers, Cam, as always. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Later, Cam. Later, Blues says is right. I think Duncan Ferguson should be Everton's full-time manager, says Martin. There you go, Martin. See you, Cam, says DJS. Thank you very much, my mate. Stay tuned to Sky Sports, yeah. And we need stability before it's... We do need stability. We absolutely do need... We need a structure. We need a plan. But more importantly, we need to stay in the Premier League beyond this season. And that, for me, is the most important thing now. But anyway, we are going to finish it there. Then if you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to subscribe, because if anything breaks, we'll be back. So please do subscribe. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues.